French is said to be the language of love, but it's very easy to make embarrassing mistakes and sound like a fool when you're sharing about something that you like or someone you love. Valentine's Day is coming very soon, so let's fix this. This is what you will be able to achieve after watching this lesson. As a beginner, you will be able to master the conjugation of aime. If you're an intermediate, you will be able to avoid the classic embarrassing mistakes around like and love in French. And if you're advanced, you will be able to refine your vocabulary when talking about your tastes and hobbies in French. As usual, you can download the full written lesson as a PDF on commeunefrancaise.com. On the blog, you just have to click, leave your first name and email, and you will get the PDF right away. And it's completely free, by the way. Bonjour, c'est Géraldine. Bienvenue sur Comme une Française. Allez, c'est parti. First, the basics, the conjugation of aime. If you're an intermediate or advanced student, don't think that's too easy for you. It's always a good thing to review your basics. So how do we translate to love? The basic translation is aimer. Aimer. You can hear it's twice the same E sound. Aimer. Aimer, as you can see, is a verb that ends in ER. E, like that, and R for you. So it's the first group verb. If you're a beginner or intermediate and you don't know about these verbs, check them out. It's a group of regular verbs in French. You have the second one, which are regular as well, and then the third one is full of irregular verbs. So if you learn aimer, you know everything about all the first group verbs because they all conjugate the same. How do you conjugate aimer? The first conjugation is j'aime. J'aime. This is the present. That's good enough for today. J'aime. J'aime. Tu aimes. Tu aimes. With the silent S at the end. Il, elle, and on aime. Il, elle, and on aime. Then, nous aimons. Nous aimons. As you can hear here, I do la liaison between nous and aimons to make my French sound more smooth. But then I don't say the S at the end of aimons. Nous aimons. Nous aimons. That's la liaison. Vous aimez, again, la liaison. Vous aimez with a Z at the end that we don't say. Vous aimez. And then ils or elles aiment. Ils or elles aiment. J'aime, tu aimes, il aime. Nous aimons, vous aimez, ils aiment. Okay? That's good for the conjugation in the present of aimer. Now, let's look at the big embarrassing mistake that lots of students make with aimer. The rule is that aimer, used on its own and applied to someone, means to love in a romantic way or something that you apply to your family. And the more you add to aimer in French, the less powerful it becomes. We'll see that in part 3. But I wanted to show you this big mistake that you can make with aimer. When you add an adverb to aimer and you apply it to someone, it means to like or to love, but in a less powerful way. If you want more details about this, see the word reference page that I linked to on the blog on Comme une Française. We're going to see details after that. So this is the big thing. Aimer alone, applied to someone, means to love in a romantic way or in your family way. In French, we don't use aimer so easily. This idea of translating to love directly doesn't really work. Aimer is not used in French as love is used in English. You could say that love is more subtle in French. I'm not really sure about that, but the translation is not necessarily the same. For example, let's look at an object that we apply aimer to. For example, I love cheese. I love cheese. If you were thinking about it in a very simple way, you could say it translates into j'aime le fromage. Well, it doesn't really translate into this because, again, the translation of the word love in French is not the same. We'll see how we translate it in part 3. But you see, it sounds like your instinct says translate love into aimer, but it doesn't work. Aimer someone is only for romantic and family love. If you say Michel aime Jeanne, Michel aime Jeanne, it always means Michel is in love with Jeanne, nothing less, or it's a family thing. But if it's outside of the family area, it's going to be love. So be very, very careful with the use of aimer in French because it can sound weird. So that was the big thing I wanted you to remember in part number 2 of this lesson. It only applies alone and apply to someone, to people you are in love with. So be careful into not using it too much or it will lead to embarrassing mistakes in French. So now let's look at how to translate to love and to like in French. We saw that aimer very often translates into to love in a romantic way. So how do you translate the other ways of saying aimer in French? So first, if you're a very analytical student, just turn this brain off now. The meaning of it will depend on the context and the tone of voice, what you said before, what you're going to say after, okay? So sometimes the translation is not direct, and you might find podcasts or movies or books that translate it differently, but here I want to show you the main elements. So first, as I said, if you add an adverb to aimer, it becomes to like most of the time, because the adverbs take down the intensity of aimer in French. For example, the biggest example that I can use, which is a very, very important one, is je t'aime, I love you, is much more powerful than anything you can add after it. So if you say je t'aime beaucoup, je t'aime bien, etc., it's less powerful than just je t'aime. The more you add to aimer in French, the less powerful it becomes. Je t'aime is at the top. Je t'aime, I love you, is the best you can say. For example, here are some adverbs that we can add. Paul aime beaucoup Pierre. Paul aime beaucoup Pierre. As you can see here, I use the verb aimer in French, but I add an adverb. So it becomes, he likes him a lot, okay? This is the translation, likes him a lot. If we use another adverb, for example, Marc aime énormément Pierre. Marc aime énormément Pierre. He likes him a lot. Again, it's roughly the same translation. It will depend on who is talking because some people might use beaucoup over énormément, some less. It depends on who's talking, but that's the idea. The love becomes likes him a lot. Another adverb we can use is bien. For example, Marie aime bien Jeanne. Marie aime bien Jeanne. She likes her well or good enough. You see, it's not as powerful as beaucoup or énormément, but bien is so common that the meaning and the power of it will depend on the context of the phrase. So if you add beaucoup, énormément, or bien, it's not to love anymore when you add it to aimer. It's to like, and then the power of the relationship will depend on the context and who is talking. But it's not as powerful as to love anymore. We saw that we can add adverbs to aimer to make it less powerful and less romantic as well. We can also use other verbs to translate to love and to like. And here, it's okay if you don't understand everything because you're not advanced enough, but if you are and you're curious about French, this will make your French more refined and fluent and fluid when you want to talk about what you like. For example, you can use the verb adorer. Adorer is to love something. So again, you can translate it into to love, but you can hear it from my tone of voice is more than just to love. It's to love something. For example, as we said before, I love cheese. If you're saying this with this tone of voice, I love cheese, it becomes j'adore le fromage. J'adore le fromage. If we're using aimer here, it will be too generic, too factual, a bit bland, and you miss something of your passion for cheese. So here, if you want to translate I love cheese, and it's more like something that you want to say to lots of people, you would translate it into j'adore le fromage. And here the verb adorer is much more to the point rather than using just aimer, which is way too dry, okay? The second verb we can use is apprécier. Apprécier. For example, if you want to translate, I like Pierre a lot in more of a neutral way, like I don't have any romantic feeling for him, but I appreciate him being around, he's a very nice person, he's funny, he's clever. You can say j'apprécie, you can add beaucoup, for example, to make it even more intense. J'apprécie beaucoup Pierre. J'apprécie beaucoup Pierre. And here you can say, I like Pierre a lot in a very elegant and nice manner that doesn't imply anything romantic, but just I like to have him around. J'apprécie, you can add beaucoup. J'apprécie beaucoup Pierre. I like Pierre a lot. And the third verb is plaire. Plaire. Here again, you can translate I like Pierre a lot with plaire. But here, it's funny because you can add a romantic angle depending on who is going to talk. So for example, if you're confiding into a friend, a very close one, and you're interested in this Pierre, you can say, Pierre me plaît. And again, you can add beaucoup if you want. Pierre me plaît or Pierre me plaît beaucoup. And here, obviously, if your friend knows what you're talking about, it really means that you're interested in Pierre in a romantic way. But plaire can be used without this romantic angle as well. This is why it's such an interesting verb. In this case, it sounds like a professional instinct. You don't have any factual explanation on why you like him, but your instinct, we do that in French to say, you feel something but you're not sure why. You have this feeling that Pierre is an interesting person. You don't necessarily know why, but you're like, I want this person in my team, for example. So you can say, Pierre me plaît beaucoup. Pierre me plaît beaucoup. And again, it's a neutral appreciation that is not romantic at all, but has this elegant form of French that is very subtle and very nice. So you see here with these three verbs, you can express your appreciation for someone most of the time, or an object or a hobby, for example, in a very nice and more fluent way than just using aimer, which is very often translated wrong. So with aimer, I highly recommend you use the adverbs that we talked about, and then if you want to be more elegant and subtle, you can use the three other verbs. Now, let's take a quiz together. So, how would you translate I love swimming, as in that's my favorite hobby? I love swimming. How would you translate I'm interested in Marie? How would you translate I'm interested in Marie? It can be romantic or not. And at last, you really like cheese. You really like cheese. How would you say that in French? Well, the first one, I love swimming. It's my favorite thing. As you can hear in my voice, it means it's really something I want to do all the time, is j'adore nager. We use the verb adorer. I love to swim. J'adore nager. J'adore nager. The second one, I'm interested in Marie. You can say Marie me plaît. Marie me plaît. So here it can be romantic or it can be absolutely neutral, and it's a very nice appreciation of someone. Marie me plaît, and it's the verb plaire. Plaire. And at last, you really like cheese. Tu aimes beaucoup le fromage. Tu aimes beaucoup le fromage. So here, as you can see, I used an adverb with aimer to make it sound more like you really like something, and you express it better in French this way. Et toi, let's give it a try. Tell me about one person you love and one thing you like to do. So you can use the verbs that we use and the adverbs with aimer as well. For example, j'aime Paul, mon mari. J'aime Paul, mon mari. J'aime beaucoup cuisiner. J'aime Paul, mon mari. Et j'aime beaucoup cuisiner. I love Paul, my husband, and I really like to cook. That's it for today. I wanted to do a short lesson on aime so you can get these embarrassing mistakes fixed forever. So if you like this lesson, please share it with your friends, especially your Francophile friends. On YouTube, you can put a thumb up, you can subscribe to the channel if you want. And if you're watching this on Facebook, please share it with your friends. You can do that by email, on Twitter, any way you like. You can even tell your friends about that. That would be fantastic. It's the best way to support my free work on Comme une Française. If you want more spoken French, how we speak, how we write, how modern French actually is, subscribe to my 10-day everyday French crash course on commeunefrancaise.com. It's completely free. It's a 10-day mini course to sound French, even to the French, very fast. You can unsubscribe anytime if you don't like it. Students tend to like it, but you don't have to. It's completely free. You just have to go to commeunefrancaise.com, leave your first name and email, and you will get lesson 1 immediately. I wish you une bonne journée, une bonne soirée maybe, or maybe you're going to bed and then it's bonne nuit, and I will see you next time. Allez, salut!